Today I'm going to transform this little dollar store cabinet. As you can see here, the drawers don't open, and I really want to make this thing functional. So let's see what we can do with it. So first of all, I put it in the microwave for 30 seconds. You got to make sure that you don't overcook it. And what it does is it just softens the glue up so that you can take the pieces apart. So I took the front off, I took the top off, and yes, I accidentally removed one of the feet. So what I'm doing is these dollar store items are super rough, so I am actually going to be spending about a half an hour sanding it, although I won't bore you by showing you my entire sanding process. So basically what I'm doing is I'm smoothing it out, and I'm also removing all the excess glue from it. And boy, do they ever use a lot of glue when they put these things together. So there is actually quite a bit of glue to remove. You have to be really careful when you sand these dollar store items because it's a really thin, brittle wood, and it does kind of fall apart if you're not careful with it. But, I mean, if you take your time, they turn out pretty nice. So I really like this little cabinet. However, I don't really like dollhouse miniatures that aren't functional. So, yeah, you can see how much glue there is, and it was dirty on the inside as well. So I've got out here my little saw, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to be cutting these cabinet doors off. So, yeah, it's kind of like a plywood parts of the wood, and they're a little brittle. So you can see here I've got one cut off, and now I'm just going to work my magic and cut the other one off. Be nice if I had a little tiny miniature table saw. That sure would be handy. So here's the two cabinet drawers, and I've got out the sandpaper, and I'm just going to sand them off and make them as neat and clean as I possibly can. As they say, the majority of the work on doing one of these kit bashings with dollar store items is the fact that you have to just spend so much time sanding the pieces in order to make them look nice enough to be able to be usable. So I'm also going to be making, because these are going to be opening doors, I'm also going to be making them a little bit smaller than what they were on the top and the bottom. So I'm just going to sand off the excess wood so there'll be room for them to open and close like this. So that's basically what it's going to look like. Yeah, I think that'll be quite cute. So I've got a little miniature hand drill, so I'm just going to take out a bit and put it in my hand drill, and I'm going to be drilling holes in the top and the bottom of each one of these cupboard doors, and also in the top and the bottom of the cabinet. So I guess I don't measure anything, I just kind of do it by eye. But you want to go into the cabinet doors, like these doors, at least 1/8 of an inch. So I've got my holes drilled, and then I've got some pins that I cut off. I glued them in with tacky glue, and you only want to put the glue on the one side of the cabinet door, so you don't want to put the glue on the bottom side of the pin, because otherwise the door is not going to be able to freely open and close. So I've chosen to put the pins on the cupboard doors because that just makes more sense. So there's number 1 and there's number 2, and you have to let it sit for quite some time in order to dry. In the meantime, I've got one of those large tongue depressors, and by luck, it is the exact same depth, so I don't have to cut the sides off of it. Do you see how it just lines up perfectly? So I'm just marking it so that it's the right height, and I have to cut 2 of these. So these will seal off the little cabinets on the left and the right side. You'll see what I mean in a second here. So I've got 2 pieces that are almost cut here. And I'm just lining it up so they can both be the exact same size. And once again, I've got the saw out. I'm going to move my stuff out of the way. And I'm just cutting it so that they will be a matching size. This little saw, I really like it. It works quite well. And so there you go. I've got 2 perfect matching pieces. So they are going to basically go, see how they're the same size? They're going to go like here and here. So when the cupboard door is closed, it will be sealed off completely. So I'm just taking the wire cutters and I'm trimming the little pin, and then I'm putting it into the slot, and see, there you go. That's the way the bottom door is going to work. So just absolutely perfect. And then I'm going to take that little side piece, and see, that's where it's going to be glued in. So pretty easy. It's not as difficult as one might think. So right now I'm just cutting off the second pin for the second door. These little head pins are a little bit hard to cut. Now you could use a really stiff wire, or you could use a sewing pin. I'm using jewelry head pins. You're not going to see the pin once the project is finished. You just want to make sure that whatever you choose to use for the pin is really good and strong. Please stay till the end of the video because the reveal is actually pretty amazing. And I also got some more stuff from my girlfriend Chris, who just got back from Mexico. That's my friend. I have 2 friends named Christine. This Chris actually owns a house in Mexico and spends half of her year there. So she brought me back some more stuff that I didn't show in the previous video. So I'd like to share that with you too as well at the end. So I'm just gluing the little sides of the cabinets in. And yeah, it's kind of hard. I mean, you just got to keep an eye on trying to make things as even and level as possible. Unlike some furniture makers, I kind of just do everything by eyeball. And it seems to work out fairly well for me. Mind you, I mean, it's a little different when you're doing a kit bashing on a Dollarama piece. If I was using like real walnut or real wood, I guess I would be spending a little bit more time and care. But you know, in the meantime, you know, this is just, I think it turns out to be a beautiful little piece of furniture, and I'm quite happy with it. And once again, like, you know, not everybody can afford to purchase artisan pieces and antique pieces all the time because, like, they're extremely expensive. And for those of us that are on a budget, well, we got to make do with what we have. And, you know, in a way, doing it like this is kind of unique and beautiful because no one else in the world is going to have a cabinet exactly like the one that I'm building. So, and there's a certain amount of pride, of course, in being able to create something yourself. So you can see here, that's what it looks like. Now it's all glued together. So when you do put the glue on, you got to make sure that you don't put glue where the cupboard door tops are. So just the back and the sides, not where the cupboard doors are. So you can see here the little doors open and close. And just straighten out that little side shelf. And I'm quite pleased with this. I think it looks really good. So I'm putting glue on. Do you see here? So it's just going on the backs and the sides. So I'm being very, very cautious that I do not put any glue where the cupboard doors are. Can't stress how important that is because I've done it before where I've glued the doors shut. And yeah, that just ruins the whole idea of why we're doing it this way. So, and again, I've got holes that are drilled at the top as well. So I'm just kind of got a, and yeah, see how it's like kind of fiddly, right? So You just have to take your time and have patience. Now remember, when I'm giving you this video, I'm giving you the edited version, so I'm just showing you the good parts. So I mean, it is a little bit time consuming, but worth fiddling around with, because the outcome, I think, is pretty fantastic. So there you go. So now the whole thing is glued together. But I'm not quite satisfied with the way that looks. I also think that we need to have a little shelf in the middle, just so that we can display more items. I mean, the whole point of doing these miniatures that are more functional is the fact that, you know, there's tons of stuff that you want to be able to put into your little miniature scene, and having little shelves and little cabinets is perfect, because you're able to display more items. So had I left it as is and just painted it, I guess I could have put things on the top, but that's not enough for me. I want my stuff to be a little bit different. So I'm just using my little saw here, and as you can see, I just cut a little shelf, and just going to glue this in. So I'm just putting a little bit of glue on it, and there you go. So that's what it looks like glued together. So I've got it upside down, but that's okay. You'll see the final product in a couple of minutes here. So I've got the little shelf glued in, and I'm just going to give it some time to dry, and then I'm going to come back and do a little bit of painting. So you can see it opens and closes quite nicely. So I'm just being cautious with it because the glue's still wet here. So yeah, so there you go. It's had a chance to dry, and you can see I can open and close it. And this would make probably a great little kitchen cabinet in my Trang house, or you could use it in a 1/12 scale house, maybe as a TV stand. So the color that I've chosen to paint it in is a little different than the other one that I painted. This is leaf green is the color. So I'm choosing to paint it very lightly. So I'm going to be dipping my brush in water and not using this paint full strength. So because I don't want it clumpy. I don't want to have anything that's going to make the doors harder to open and close. So that's why I've chosen to thin the paint down a little bit. So, and that's the nice thing about acrylic. You can just thin it down and use it as thin as you want, and you can actually see the wood grain through it. So I've got it fully painted, and it's the next day. And this is my tester's paint, which I think is just the best for metallics. So I've got gold and silver and copper, and I use them quite often. I think they're a nice addition to your craft supplies when you're doing miniatures. So I'm just painting the little doorknobs in the nice metallic gold color, and that will match the bookshelf that I did the other day. So I'm just painting the legs, and they're going to be gold. And there you go, that's what it looks like all painted up. But I'm not quite satisfied with it just the way it is. So I grabbed out some lace. This is like a little lace collar. I actually got that when I did a thrift store buy. And so I've cut out a couple little motifs. And I was sort of thinking that if I put one on one side and one on the other side, that could be the front of the cabinet. But I think it's just a little bit too much. So instead, I cut out these tiny little motifs. And I think I'm a lot more pleased with the way this looks as opposed to the bigger pieces. So again, I've got out my tacky glue, and I'm just putting a little bit of glue here on my surface. And I'm just going to glue each one of these pieces on. So I will not be leaving them this color, although if you like the color, I guess you could leave it the way it is. It's kind of a pumpkin-y color, which actually complements the leaf green not too badly. But I'm not going to leave it that color because it doesn't really match anything that I have in any of my homes. So yeah, so I'm just kind of gluing that on. This is the last piece. Kind of skipped ahead. And yeah, so I just make sure that they're glued down completely. I'm just taking my tiny little scissors and pushing them down to make sure that they're not lifting in any spots. And I'll let this glue dry for a little bit, and then I'm going to come back. So I've come back and I've used the same color green paint, and I've painted over. So you can still see the little lace motifs fairly well, but yeah, they're a little bit dulled down. I did have to do 2 coats to cover them. So now I've got a little gold Sharpie, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of skim over very lightly and just kind of highlight, bring out the highlights in this shiny gold magic marker. There's lots of different magic markers on the market that are gold colored, but I find the Sharpie my marker of choice. So you've seen me use it when I've done other pieces of furniture, and I think it just really turns out nice and just adds just a lovely touch to it. So, and you know, again, it's your choice. You could have just left it just with the plain green paint or with the pumpkin color that it was originally. But you know, by using little pieces of lace, you can really bring things like picture frames and pieces of furniture to life quite nicely. So I'm just, I do end up going over this 2 or 3 times because it just, the gold didn't show up very well through the green. It must be just that color combination. So there you go. So there's the original piece with the doors that don't open, and here is the transformation piece. And you can see here the little cabinet doors, they open. I'm actually quite proud of this piece. I think it turned out really nice. So, I mean, compared to the original, I mean, it doesn't look like a dollar store piece anymore, in my opinion. So, it looks quite nice. So, yeah, so that's what it looks like. So, I'm quite pleased with it. If you haven't already subscribed, please think about subscribing. It really helps my channel. So I'm still not quite at 1,000. I think I need like 14 more people. It seems to take forever. So these are some of the pieces that my friend brought me from Mexico. And as you can see, they're just darling. So look at these little plates. They're just so cute. And that little jug, isn't that just precious? And then, yeah, another little jug. I think I've got 4 jugs, 4 different colors. And quite a stack of these little plates. And they are so nicely hand painted. Like they're, and she said they cost like the equivalent of like 25 or 30 cents Canadian for each one of these little items. So she said the person that was selling them had them in a giant bag, and he could care less. Half of them were broken, and so she had to pick through to be able to find the ones that she wanted. Check out this little fish. Whoops, I didn't mean to drop it. Isn't that just precious? That would look so nice on a bathroom wall. And here's a little matching fish. So I think those 2 items would look particularly cute on a bathroom wall. That's a very vintage look. And look at this little sweet face. So these are all made out of clay that have been fired and hand painted. Look, see, there's another one of those little jugs. Isn't that so cute? Yeah, I just, oh, and I love this one here. This one is really super cool. It's it almost looks like there's seaweed inside of it. So those were all my new little treasures. So as you can see, I've kind of got it decorated up with some wine and cheese and some of my seashell flowers. and my lovely little treasures from my beautiful friend Chris. And yeah, I couldn't be happier with this piece. I'm just absolutely ecstatic with it. I hope you guys are going to go out and try this too. I think that it's not a very difficult thing to do, and it sure adds a lot. So comparing this with the one that I did a couple of days ago, they're both green, but different shades of green, which I think adds a nice touch to a room to have varied colors. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please subscribe and hit that like button, and please tell your friends about my channel and share. And if there's any way you can leave comments, I'd love to hear what you think of this little project that I did today. And once again, have the very best day ever. Take care, guys.